buying an EC to avoid paying ABSD. How does it work? Hi, I'm Ivan.
I'm Shawn.
And together we are the co-founders of Quadrant. So today we'll be talking about how can you buy an EC and avoid paying ABSD. And number one, right, this is not for private property owners.
Yes. So this is basically if you already own a HDB. If you guys do not know, if you actually go and buy a new EC, so must be new. Alright, new meaning buy from developer, not buy from some other EC that just MOP. So go to developer, buy from developer. If you do so, actually you do not need to pay any ABSD.
Yeah, because legally, right, what happens is that if a HDB upgrader is buying an EC, right, they need to dispose of the HDB 6 months after they collect keys. Within 6 months after they collect keys for the EC itself.
Yeah. So I think the key question here is this: is EC or executive condominium, right? Are they even worth buying in the first place?
It depends. Yeah, so it's a very good question because it depends on the price gap between EC and private property. So basically, right, if the EC and the private property, right, the gap is huge, right, it means that if you buy the EC itself, right, it's worth it because eventually after 5 years, you can sell off your HDB, you can sell off the EC, you can actually have a similar status to private condos. And after the full 10 years, right, then it's fully you can fully sell to foreigners itself.
Yeah, actually, if you really look at it logically, right, the ECs are really built very similar to condominiums. In fact, most of the time when I actually go down to review even certain ECs, right, I would say that it's like 99.9% as close to a private condominium as possible. Of course, don't go and compare the luxury condominium in some
District 9 and 10,
and you compare with the EC in Punggol and Sengkang. And look, I mean, that's not a fair comparison in the first place. I look at mass market condominiums, private condominiums versus the ECs. I would say that whatever you can think of in terms of facility for condominium, in terms of quality of build, I would say even quality of build, right? I would say it's pretty much the same, right? The only difference over here is that ECs, of course, there to achieve purchase EC, there is certain criteria and there's certain so-called sales restriction as well. Yeah. The first thing first, alright, there is actually a cap of income. Alright, so let's say for example you're earning like 30,000 per month. Unfortunately overqualified to buy an EC right? So you have to know what is the criteria to buy EC. Just look at this figure over here, right? So this is what's needed to buy an EC, right? So if you're over that criteria, then you're unable to buy. Alright, but do take note, EC at the end of the day is still a subsidized, in a way still a subsidized by government, so therefore they want to cater to the right audiences.
So if you look at today's context, right, my take is that it's worth looking into EC, a new EC, right, because of the huge rise in prices, right, for like private properties.
Yeah. So I mean, if you guys have really looked at the land prices in Singapore, I think land prices have been continuously going up. So I would say yes, I think this year itself, it does serve as a small little opportunity to really start looking back to EC and what's upcoming new launches for EC. But also do take note that there's one more condition that's attached to EC, which is this thing called the minimum occupancy period, so MOP, right? So if you're looking at MOP, means that you are basically also having the same rules and regulation that a HDB, if you go and buy a HDB, alright, the same rules and regulation does govern you as well if you buy the EC. But however, alright, after the initial 5 years of fulfilling the MOP under the EC, okay, that is where if you sell to another buyer, okay, that is when then all these MOP and all these, right, they will not be so-called imposed into the new buyer. So the new buyer is like almost buying like a condominium already.
So the quick answer is that if you're talking about buying an EC, right, it may take about a brand new EC, it may take about 3 to 4 years to construct it, and then there's a 5 years MOP. So the timeline will be 9 years versus if you buy a private property directly, right, it's 3 years from the day you exercise on the property itself.
Correct.
So that's the different timeline. But having said this, right, once again, the opportunity is in the price of the new launch EC right now. So once again, I hope you're learning something from this video. Do make sure you give us a thumbs up and also subscribe to our channel. So once again, I'm Ivan.
I'm Shawn.
And we'll see you soon. Bye.